I see you moving. Oh, that was good. Hello, welcome to LiveRead LA. Thank you so much for coming in our hastily organised new venue. Thank you to the Acme Theatre for hastily organising us. So, how many people have been here before? I've done LiveRead LA before. Just give me a show of hands. Okay, so we have a few newbies. I want to point out we have a bunch of actors, young trainee actors from the New York Film Academy down here. Thank you for coming. But as important as they are, they're not as important as our industry insider, Malcolm Spellman, who has made it here this evening. He's over there. Thank you, Malcolm. Malcolm has generously donated his time to help the two writers we have tonight with their scripts, which is really the whole point of why we're here. For those who haven't been before, LiveRead LA, we're not a showcase of finished scripts. We are a sort of a work in progress type space. We look for scripts that we think are really solid, but could really use being read out loud, and then getting some notes from, preferably from people that they don't know, the writers don't know, because as you know, how many people here are writers who would call themselves, you can call yourself a writer if you haven't written. Yeah, see. And I really appreciate, by the way, that there are a bunch of writers who come by themselves. I think that's awesome. And I hope that you guys saw whose other hands were up, and that you at least say hello to the other writers before you leave. Because that's part of what we're here to do, is to kind of build a community for writers. But the scripts. So we pick scripts. We want to give feedback. We want to give positive feedback. We have Malcolm here to give positive feedback. That doesn't mean it's like all, you're awesome. It's sort of constructive feedback. So there are some rules, because we also invite the audience to give feedback as well. So, so what's going to happen is when I shut up, actors are going to come and read one script, and I will talk about those writers in a second. Once we're finished, Malcolm and I will give some feedback, and then to the writer, and then we will throw it open to the audience. There are just a few rules. Members of the audience, you get a maximum of 2 minutes to give your feedback. We don't want anybody going on a rant. Just doesn't go well, trust me. We also want, what we don't want is, we don't want pitches. We don't want you hearing a script and saying, you know, that's great, but it'd be really good if it was set on the moon. That's not really helpful. The writer has committed to the project that they have brought in tonight, so it's our duty to sort of treat that with respect and try and make it better. The other thing we really don't want to hear is your thoughts on the abilities of the writer as a writer. So that's not really important, and it's not why we're here. The writer has brought the script. Our focus is on the script, so we stay respectful, we stay constructive. I would love to hear you guys saying what works for you, what doesn't work for you. If you have, like, you know, I didn't really like that character, but maybe if it did this, I mean, those kind of things are fine. You know, we don't want you to sort of just sugarcoat and say, yeah, you're awesome. So don't do that. Okay, so the two writers, we have a weird night tonight. We are open to writers from everywhere, and this was going to be our first night where we had a writer who was not based in LA, Devin, Mainville, who wrote the first script you'll hear tonight. She's in Illinois, and she was supposed to be joining us on Skype afterwards, but she's a little ill this evening, so hopefully she's watching at some point the live stream. So we're just going to plow on without her, but first we're going to give her a round of applause. So well done, Devin. Well done, watching. But we do have the other writer in the house, Nick. Nick is there. Well done, Nick. So yeah, so I think that's about all for me. I do want to do a shout out to last month we had our intern here, and she's watching in Texas to make sure that the live stream works, so I'm hoping it works. To Emily, I'm hoping that you're watching. So yeah, so as you're listening, think about what feedback you would give. Think about what you would say to the writer, because I'm hoping you'll say it. So actually listen. This works in two parts. It's great for the writers, they get to hear the script and get feedback. It's great for the writers in the room, because they have to listen to a script and try and sort of figure out what works and what doesn't work. And you'll be amazed, the more you do that, the more it informs your own writing. Because if you can sit there and say, you know what, that character, it started there and then it didn't go anywhere, or I got left behind, or I was confused, or whatever your notes are, next time you're writing, I promise you'll look at your script and be like, oh, am I making the same mistakes? So that's what we want to give it to you as well. So I'm going to shut up. The first script is called Wrong Number. Yes. And actors, come on, let's do this. Yeah, I guess Devin's not here, so you and yes, I guess you guys sit together. Right. Are you ready?
Yep. Wrong number. Interior car day. Cassidy, 25, sits in the passenger seat of the car. Rain splatters the window and she watches it emotionless. She's a pretty girl, maybe even beautiful if she made an effort, but she hasn't made that effort today. A voice is talking in the background, but Cassidy isn't paying attention, so neither are we. She raises her finger and drags it across the condensation on the window, connecting raindrops into shapes. The voice finally breaks in.
Cass, do you think so?
Cassidy is startled out of her reverie, and she turns to look at Nate, 27, good looking, but not in a way that would turn heads. Just a general aura that he takes care of himself.
Sorry, what?
I knew you weren't even listening.
Sorry.
I was just saying that the recipe for tonight needs garlic, but I think we still have some, do you know?
Yeah, I think so. You're the last one who used it.
I'm pretty sure. Everything okay?
Yeah, no, I'm just, tired.
She gives him a faint smile. He smiles and reaches over to take her hand. He squeezes. She turns her attention back to the window. Interior kitchen day. Cassidy carries a bag of groceries into the kitchen. A muffled phone buzzes. She sets the bag on the counter and fishes her phone out of her pocket.
Text. Hey, it's me. I understand if you don't want to, but I'd really like to talk.
Cassidy's confused. Nate walks in behind her, sees her looking at her phone.
Everything okay?
Yeah, just a wrong number.
She shoves the phone back into her pocket. Interior living room night. The glow from the television plays across Cassidy and Nate's faces. They both sit on the couch on opposite ends, but feet tangled together in the middle for warmth. They both balance a plate of food, which they eat silently, staring ahead at the TV off screen. Nate turns to Cassidy.
Do you like it?
Yeah, it's good. It'd probably be better with garlic.
I asked if we had any left.
Well, I didn't know.
Nate turns back to his food, stabbing it a little more forcefully now.
It's still good.
Nate doesn't acknowledge her, so she turns back to the TV. Interior bedroom night. Nate is curled on his side, snoring deeply. Cassidy lies on her back next to him, wide awake. She nudges him, and the snoring stops. Then it starts again, this time louder. Cassidy sighs. Her phone buzzes on the nightstand, illuminating the dark room. Cassidy jumps and hurries to grab the phone. She glances over. Nate hasn't moved. She looks down at the screen.
I get it, I do, but please know that no matter what, I will always love you, Chloe. You are beautiful and kind and perfect. Love, Jay.
She smiles. She turns the phone up and puts it back on the nightstand. She rolls over to fall asleep, the hint of that smile still on her lips. She doesn't hear the snoring anymore, so neither do we. Interior office day. Rows and rows of identical cubicles stretch out seemingly forever. The room hums in that office way, fingers typing and low voices joining together to sound like nothing. Cassidy's head sticks out over one of the cubicle walls. She's typing, her fingers dance across the keyboard. She pauses, picks up her cell phone, which is sitting next to the keyboard. She reads the message again.
I get it, I do, but please know that no matter what, I will always love you, Chloe. You're beautiful and kind and perfect. Love, Jay.
She smiles again and sets it back down. She begins typing again, but slower this time. She trails off her fingers, hovering above the keyboard. She picks up the phone, the message still staring her in the face. She types.
Hey.
She turns the screen off and drops the phone down as if not seeing her text will undo sending it. She turns back to her computer and begins working again, but she keeps throwing furtive looks at her phone. She nearly jumps out of her chair when it buzzes only a few seconds later. She tentatively picks up the phone and opens the new message.
Hey, Chloe, are you really talking to me again?
Cassidy looks around as if anyone else cares about this illicit text conversation.
I just wanted to thank you for your message last night. It was really nice.
She pauses after hitting send. Perhaps her point wasn't made.
It made my night.
She sets the phone down, pleased with herself. It buzzes immediately with response.
You have no idea how thrilled that makes me. All I've ever wanted is to make you happy. Can you talk right now? I'd love to hear your voice. I miss it so much.
Cassidy stares at the phone in a panic.
I can't right now. I'm at work.
She starts to set the phone down again until it buzzes before she can.
You're working again? That's great. Where at? Can you call on lunch or something? We have so much to talk about.
Cassidy is unsure. She types a hurried response.
Maybe. I have to go now, though. Sorry.
Cassidy hits send, waits for the message to show as delivered, and then immediately switches her phone into airplane mode. She sighs, shakes herself out a little bit, and turns from this drama back to her work, attacking the keyboard with new vigor. Interior apartment night. Cassidy enters the apartment. Clearly it has been a long day. Nate sits on the couch. He gets up when she enters.
There you are.
Cassidy dumps her purse on the dining room table, her back to Nate.
What?
I've been texting you all afternoon, but they wouldn't even deliver.
Cassidy turns around.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I put my phone into airplane for a meeting, but I must have forgotten to change it back.
Nate walks to her and wraps her in a hug.
I'm just glad you're okay.
Cassidy nuzzles into his chest.
Are you worried I was in some terrible data entry accident?
Nate laughs and kisses the top of her head before breaking the embrace.
I hear those are just awful.
The worst.
Cassidy picks up a pile of mail sitting on the table and leaves through it. Nate walks into the kitchen and begins looking through the cupboards.
How do you feel about chicken and rice for dinner?
Cassidy hasn't heard him. She's looking confused at a card from the mail.
What's this?
What's what?
She holds it up and he sticks his head out from around the cupboard.
This.
Nate glances at it and then ducks back into the cupboard.
It's an invitation to Nick and Melissa's anniversary dinner.
Yeah, no, I see that, but what is that? Is that a thing? A 1-year anniversary dinner that you invite other people to?
She continues reading the invitation.
And they want a present? We just got them a wedding present a year ago. Do they go through gravy boats that quickly?
It says no presents.
Yeah, but that implies that we should have expected to give them a present if they hadn't told us not to.
I think it sounds fun.
I think it sounds terrible.
Come on, Cass. We haven't seen them in forever. It's just a fun excuse to see everyone again.
It's tacky. They make it seem like they're being classy, but it's really just tackiness in disguise.
Nate slams the box of rice onto the counter a little harder than he intended.
God, you will find the negative in anything, won't you?
I was just kidding.
She drops the card back onto the table and sulks off. Interior bedroom later. Nate is snoring again, his back to Cassidy. She's lying awake. She glances over at him. She starts to get out of bed very slowly, continually checking to see if her movements have woken Nate. They don't. She grabs her phone off the nightstand and slips out of the room. Interior bathroom moments later. Cassidy puts the toilet seat down and sits on it. She turns her phone on, switches it off airplane, and sets it on the counter. She waits. Nothing. She's about to reach for it when it starts to buzz, and then buzz again. All the texts from the day come flooding in at once. She started to read them.
No problem. When is lunch? Well, call me when you can. I can't wait to hear your voice. Smiley face. Is everything okay? These aren't going through. Did you turn your phone off? Don't shut me out again, Chloe. God damn it, do not do this to me. Call me now. Missed call, missed call, missed call, missed call, missed call, missed call. I'm sorry. I just got angry. But I understand if you need time. Please just text me when you can. I love you. Jay.
Cassidy sets the phone back onto the counter in a stunned silence. It buzzes again. She jumps a little and then picks it up.
Hey, you turned your phone back on. I'm really sorry about earlier. It just felt like you were shutting me out again after you had just reached out to me and it hurt. But I shouldn't have reacted like that. I know that. I just want you so much and it felt like you finally wanted me to and I got carried away.
She hesitates, then types.
It's okay.
Can I ask you why you turned your phone off?
I was scared. I think we should take this a little slower.
Of course. Whatever you need, whatever you want, I just want you to be happy.
Thank you. I have to go to bed. Talk to you tomorrow?
Yes. 1,000,000 times yes. Sleep tight, darling. I love you.
Cassidy gets up to leave for one brief moment before she turns off the light and leaves. We catch a glimpse of her in the mirror, a smile spread across her face. Interior office day. Cassidy sits at her desk typing and chewing on a pen distractedly. Her phone buzzes and she picks it up immediately.
Hey, gorgeous. How's your day going?
She smiles and she types her response.
Not so bad. Yours?
Better now. Smiley
Yes.
face.
Cassidy smiles wider, bending over her phone to reply. Interior apartment night. Cassidy stands in front of the mirror brushing her teeth, the water in the sink running. There's a muffled voice from off screen, but she doesn't hear it. She gathers her hair up into a ponytail, turning to the side to examine the effects. Nate suddenly appears in the doorway. Startled, Cassidy chokes a little on her toothbrush. Coughing, she spits into the sink.
Jesus.
Were you even listening?
What?
No. Of course you weren't.
I had the water running. I couldn't hear.
Nate rolls his eyes and disappears to the bedroom. Cassidy turns the water off, wipes her mouth, and follows him.
What is your problem?
My problem is that you're constantly off in your own little world. Like, I don't even exist to you.
I was brushing my teeth. The water was running.
Whatever.
Well, what were you saying?
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Please. I'm sorry I didn't hear you, okay?
Okay.
Cassidy waits. Nate continues to get undressed, ignoring her.
So?
So what?
What were you saying?
Never mind.
So you just want to be a child about it?
Yep.
Fine. They both continue getting ready for bed in disgruntled silence. Interior office day. Cassidy sits at her desk, still grumpy from the fight this morning. She types, but without much enthusiasm. Her phone buzzes, and a slight smile plays on her lips as she reaches for it. It fades as soon as she reads the screen.
Did you RSVP to Melissa for the dinner thing?
She sets the phone down with more force than necessary, and without responding, she goes back to typing. Her phone buzzes again. She doesn't move to answer it. It buzzes again. She rolls her eyes and picks it up. She stops when she sees the screen. Her mood instantly brighter.
Hey, beautiful. Hope you're having a good day.
I'm not.
Why? Anything I can do?
Cassidy pauses, her mouth pursed in deep concentration. She sighs and resigns herself to the decision.
Can I call you after work?
The answer is immediate.
Of course. Smiley face.
Interior car evening. Cassidy sits in her car, her phone in her lap. The clock ticks another minute past, 5:14. Cassidy shakes herself out a little, takes up the phone, and hits a button. The tones of calling again, and she raises the phone to her ear, willing herself to be calm. The phone picks up after the second ring.
Chloe?
The name throws Cassidy for a minute. She flinches at the lie.
Yeah, hi.
His voice is smooth and as sexy as she had hoped. She leaned her head back against the headrest.
Hi.
How are you?
We're better now. But what about you? You said you were having a bad day. What happened?
Oh, nothing, really. I was just being a baby. It was just dumb work stuff.
Tell me about it.
Cassidy squirms. She's being backed into a corner.
I'd really rather not.
Okay. Well, what do you want to talk about?
Tell me about you. I mean, about your day.
Well, so far this is the only interesting thing that happened.
This conversation?
Yeah.
Sounds like a very boring day indeed, then.
He laughs and it makes her smile.
Maybe. You sound different.
She's back on guard again.
You just don't remember what I sound like.
I don't think I'll ever forget your voice.
Well, I guess you were wrong.
The pause stretches and Cassidy gets more uncomfortable with each passing second.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time.
Cassidy relaxes, easing back into the seat.
I like your voice. It calms me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She closes her eyes.
Tell me a story.
Story? Okay. How about a story of what could have been?
Jay's voice becomes lower, calmer as he starts to tell his story. His words wash over Cassidy, lulling her into a state of meditation almost.
There were once two people who were very much in love. They would spend hours laying in bed making plans for their future. They were going to quit their jobs and travel the world, slink off to the furthest reaches of the globe where they could spend their days in bed sleeping and making love and planning where they would travel to next. They wouldn't keep any possessions. Every time they got somewhere new, they would buy new clothes and become new people. They wouldn't stay at hotels or in tourist traps. They would live like locals. People would stop being able to tell where they were from at all. They were citizens of the world. Every day would be a new adventure, and the only constant would be each other and their love.
That sounds beautiful.
We could still do it.
That's the story of us.
It could be. Do you still want that?
Yes.
Jay's smile can be heard through the phone.
Good.
They sit on the line in silence for a moment. Somewhere in the distance, a car horn honks, and it breaks Cassidy out of her reverie. She glances at the clock, 5:34.
Shit. I have to go.
Oh, okay.
She bites her lip.
Can I call you again tomorrow?
The smile is audible once more.
Of course.
Interior apartment evening. Cassidy comes in the front door, closing it behind her. Nate stands in front of the stove, stirring something. He glances up when she enters.
Hey, I was getting worried. You're home late.
Cassidy drops her purse on the table.
Sorry, I had to stop and get gas. I should have texted.
She comes and stands next to Nate at the stove.
It's okay.
Cassidy leans forward and inhales.
That smells delicious.
Hopefully.
Let me taste.
Okay.
He scoops out a bit of something from the pan with one hand underneath the spoon. He holds it out for Cassidy.
Careful, it's hot.
Cassidy blows on it for a second, then takes a bite. She closes her eyes in exaggerated delight.
Oh, that is downright magical.
What has gotten into you?
What?
You're just very excited about chicken.
I guess I'm just in a good mood.
Well, good.
He wraps an arm around her shoulders and kisses her forehead. She leans against him and they stand both facing the stove as Nate finishes cooking. Exterior car evening. Cassidy sits in the front seat talking on her phone. We can't hear her, but her head is thrown back in a deep laugh. Interior car evening. Now we can hear.
Grapefruits look like giant lemons. It's not my fault.
Yeah, I'm sure that happens all the time.
They laugh a little more and then it subsides into a comfortable silence.
Chloe,
Hmm?
you know, I've really enjoyed talking to you again these past few weeks.
Me too.
And I don't want to rush you or anything, so feel free to say no.
Cassidy starts to look uneasy. Jay completes his question in a rush.
It's just that hearing your voice and your laugh just makes it all harder to not see your eyes and your smile. And can we please just see each other?
Cassidy exhales quickly but doesn't respond.
Just for coffee or something, please.
Cassidy still hasn't found a way out of this corner. Her eyes search frantically for an answer that will not present itself.
Don't you want to see me?
Cassidy's answer presents itself before she has time to think about it.
Yes.
Interior coffee shop day. Cassidy sits near a window at a table facing the door. Her coffee is already half gone. She's been there for a while. The bell on the door jingles as someone enters. Cassidy immediately stiffens, but it's only a mother and her teenage daughter. She relaxes, but only a little. Her phone sits on the table next to her coffee. She reaches for it and checks the time. It's 12:18. She sighs and takes another large sip of coffee and goes back to staring at the door, willing it to open. It does. Cassidy can tell it's Jay. He's tall and handsome and walks with an ease and confidence that matches his voice. His eyes scan the small coffee shop and Cassidy tenses again, but his eyes pass over her without a second glance. Of course they do, but Cassidy is still disappointed. She slowly lets out the breath that she has been holding. Jay walks to the counter and orders his own coffee. He stands near the counter waiting for his order and begins scanning the room again. Cassidy smooths her hair and rubs her lips together, anticipating the moment their eyes will meet. But they don't. He looks right through her and continues his scan. His order is ready, and he takes his coffee to another seat across the shop, also facing the door. He pulls out his phone and types. Cassidy's phone almost immediately buzzes. She grabs it quickly and reads.
Here.
Cassidy holds the phone, thinking about texting back, but instead sets the phone back down and goes back to staring at Jay. He continues to sip his coffee and stare at the door. Cassidy's cup is now empty. Some time has passed. Jay is still staring at the door, looking increasingly agitated. He takes his phone out again. Cassie's phone begins buzzing loudly. She grabs it quickly to silence it, glancing frantically to make sure Jay hasn't heard it. He hasn't, but he can tell that the call was ignored. Now, completely incensed, he launches up from his chair and stalks quickly out the door, yanking it open and throwing his cup violently into the garbage can on his way out. Through the window, Cassidy watches Jay on the sidewalk take out his phone again. Her phone buzzes again with a call, and she ignores it. This time, though, Jay is ready to leave a message. Cassidy watches increasingly horrified as Jay screams into his phone, his handsome face contorted in violent rage. Some people on the street give him strange looks. He hangs up, shoving the phone into his pocket and disappearing into the night. Cassidy's phone buzzes on the table, making her jump. She has a voicemail. Interior office day. Cassidy comes rushing in and sits down quickly at her desk. She's still shaken from what happened. She takes out her phone, ignoring the voicemail notification and going straight to her contacts. She finds Jay's number and types it into Google on her computer. Her eyes scan the results quickly until she finds what she was looking for, a name, James Monroe. She types the name into Google, a whole slew of articles pop up, most including the words domestic dispute, prison sentence, and restraining order. Cassidy's breathing becomes heavy and ragged as her eyes dart back and forth, reading the information.
Have a good lunch?
Cassidy jumps about a mile in the air. She frantically closes the search on her computer. She's forgotten where she was. Her coworker stands at the opening of Cassidy's cubicle, a pad of paper in hand. She stares at Cassidy, concerned by her reaction to such a simple question.
Jesus Christ, you scared the shit out of me.
Sorry.
They stare at each other. Cassidy tries again to regain control of her breathing.
What?
The meeting's about to start.
Shit, right. Sorry.
Cassidy begins gathering her things. She grabs her phone out of habit, but then thinks better to leave it face down on her desk. She stands and follows her coworker, who continues to throw worried glances back at her as they continue down the aisle. Interior bedroom evening. Cassidy sits on the edge of her bed, her phone in her hand. It's off. She turns it back on, it powers up, and she sits quietly with it in her hands for a moment, silently relaying the time. Then it begins chiming with missed messages and phone calls. Cassidy turns it off again quickly and tosses it behind her on the bed. She doubles over, head on her knees, like she's going to be sick. The front door opens and then shuts off screen.
Cass?
Cassidy doesn't move. Nate's footsteps can be heard down the hall, and then he enters the room. He stands in the doorway staring at his girlfriend huddled on the edge of the bed.
You okay?
Cassidy unfurls herself and gives him an unconvincing smile.
Yeah, I'm fine.
You sure?
No, yeah, just tired. It was a long day.
Nate has come fully into the room and sits next to Cassidy on the bed. He loops an arm around her shoulders and pulls her in close.
I'm sorry. Anything you want to talk about?
Cassidy rests her head against his chest, tears welling in her eyes. If she talks, her voice will give away her tears. She shakes her head firmly against his chest instead. Nate rests his head on top of hers, gently stroking her hair. Cassidy closes her eyes and lets him. Interior kitchen dining room morning. Nate is once again at the stove, this time flipping pancakes. He hums quietly as he cooks. Cassidy comes in behind him, still in her pajamas and wiping sleep from her eyes.
Good morning, sunshine.
He kisses her on the cheek and then turns back to pancakes.
Pancakes. What's the occasion?
Just felt like making them. What's a better way to start the weekend?
He slides the 2 pancakes into the pan onto a plate and hands it to Cassidy. She takes the syrup sitting on the counter and practically drowns them in it.
I thought we were out of pancake mix.
I got some at the store yesterday.
Cassidy begins eating her pancakes, leaning against the counter, watching Nate make more.
You went to the store? Did you get zucchini?
No, I texted you and asked if you needed anything.
Oh, right. I didn't get it. My phone is being weird.
Really?
Yeah. I think I may need a new one.
She stares at her plate, concentrating on eating.
Maybe I'll go today.
Okay.
If I get a new number, what happens to my number now?
I think you'll be able to keep your same number.
But if I didn't, like, what happens to people's phone numbers when they get new ones?
Nate shrugs. He's more interested in making sure his pancakes don't burn than what happens to old numbers.
I guess to just give it to someone else.
Seems unsafe.
I guess.
Nate slides his pancakes onto his own plate.
You gonna want more?
Cassidy shakes her head no, and Nate turns off the stove. He grabs the syrup and squirts it sparingly onto his pancakes.
Nick and Melissa's anniversary thing is tonight.
Oh, yeah. Do we need to get them something?
I'm gonna make him some lemon cookies. Nick loves them.
That's sweet.
That's me.
Cassidy smiles back at him.
Hey, I have a funny story about lemons.
Interior bedroom evening. Cassidy enters the bedroom wrapped in a towel, another towel wrapped around her head like a turban. She picks up her phone from the dresser. It's still off. She glances at the bedroom door, open a crack, and then turns the phone on. Again, it starts beeping and buzzing with missed messages. Cassidy doesn't read them, but opens the thread with Jay. She doesn't look at the last things he said, but they are in all caps. She types her own message.
I changed my mind. I'm sorry. Please leave me alone.
She hits send. She watches it send until it reads delivered. She smiles to herself, satisfied. Little dots pop up. Jay is typing. Cassidy hurriedly goes into the settings and blocks his number. She sets the phone down again and watches it. It remains still and quiet. Interior living room later. Nate sits on the couch dressed in a suit, the remote in his hand. He flips to the channels, settling on the news. He glances at his watch.
Voiceover. The police chief urges anyone with information to contact the phone number on the screen. Police were called to the 1200 block of 5th Avenue early this afternoon after multiple neighbors called in what sounded like gunshots. When the authorities arrived, they found the body of Chloe Monroe shot 6 times. Monroe's ex-husband, James Monroe, was found still in the house with the murder weapon. He is now in police custody and has been charged with the murder and with violating the restraining order his ex-wife had against him. Local business owners are feeling...
Jesus Christ.
What?
Cassidy walks into the room. She's all dolled up in a cocktail dress. Nate clicks the TV off as soon as she enters.
The news is just depressing as usual.
No.
She gives a little twirl.
How do I look?
Nate catches her mid-twirl and brings her in for a kiss.
You look marvelous.
Cassidy giggles and waddles away.
You're gonna mess up my lipstick.
Nate rolls his eyes and heads for the door.
Your lipstick is fine. You ready?
Yep.
They head out the door, flicking the light off as they leave.
How do you feel about Paris?
The door clicks shut behind them.
So usually we're joined by the writer. We're going to have to talk to her.
How would we talk to her?
She's there's live stream and we're recording it, so she'll watch it tomorrow if she's not able to watch it tonight. So we'll just assume that we're talking to her. So do you want to go ahead and give what you thought?
I thought it was good. I thought it was really, really confident and paced really well. And I liked the rhythm of it. It was like, in order to keep it contained, it built up a nice rhythm and felt like we really knew where it was going. I did think it was bottom heavy in that once you reveal, oh, she's playing around with a number that, with a random wrong number, and once you see that, the effect of where that pays off, it might be worth rethinking exactly when you reveal those two things so that you're actually exploring something as opposed to just being a really nice rhythm and structure that pays off at the end. Maybe when you reveal that it is a wrong number, there's an opportunity with the space. If that moves, if the wrong number reveal comes up a little bit earlier, then you're exploring who this character is and why she would be willing to do that other than she has a boring boyfriend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're gonna want to get there more if you're exploring something that's maybe more than one layer deep. So that'd be the primary thing I got into it, and I did kind of feel like the boyfriend, there was an opportunity maybe to say, this woman is in this situation that is at home, that's a little bit tedious, and that's why she's flirting around with whatever this dangerous element is. But if you're going to shorten it, fine. But if not, there needs to be an extra dash either in these characters or in the story what it's talking about.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. When I thought it was interesting hearing it, and it'd be interesting to see what the crowd thinks. But I thought there were one too many. He spent all his time in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And it would have been really nice for him to do something else other than talk about food. Because
Yeah.
the more he talked about it, the less he seemed like a normal human, like an actual human being. And the more he seemed like just like a character that was fulfilling the boring role that he needed to do in order to drive Cassidy's actions. But I that's me being negative. On a positive front, I did feel Cassidy's sort of like, I shouldn't be doing this and yet I'm drawn to it. Which I thought was really well handled, and the crazy stalker boyfriend did a great job of sort of managing his rage, and letting it out in various times and having it come back in. Yeah, I mean, my note, Devin, if you're listening, I would have. It was interesting. It's really interesting reading it and then hearing it, because it did seem to drag a little bit. Like once various reveals happened, there wasn't quite enough after it. I thought it could have, like, even after she stopped talking to the crazy guy, they had a very long conversation about pancakes, which we didn't really need. We could have gone straight into the thing. And then the other thing, this is a short film. This is supposed to be self-contained. I kind of felt like it just kind of found itself by the end. Like, I want to know what happened next. Like it would have been, for me, just, I really wanted Jay to not be in police custody, to be on the loose, and sort of at the end to be somehow discovered that it was the wrong, like there was some breadcrumb that this was going to kind of destroy or potentially destroy Cassidy's life, like she'd made it, like the bridge had been burned, like in normal structure. So I was sort of wondering whether or not it should be blown up into something more.
I didn't mind that Cassidy had destroyed someone else's life inadvertently. That payoff worked, but now as I'm hearing you talk, I do think I'm even more sure that you can either just in edits get there a little bit quicker, remove a little bit of the fat, and it's going to work fine. It's just an experience in a bored chick destroys someone else's life inadvertently, or again, you move
Yeah,
up.
haven't we all done that? You know?
Or the other choice is, if you want to pace it out like that, move the reveal of it more so that at that point, once the audience knows, oh shit, this woman is playing with some dude who doesn't even know it's her, what are you saying? Like, what else are you saying? The other thing I think that you do, that the writer can do, regardless, is introduce very early on some danger into Cassidy's life, completely separate from all that. It can be a car almost hitting you. It can be something at the office almost falling down, because I wasn't sure tonally, because of the pacing of it, I wasn't sure it was a thriller, you know what I'm saying, or it had that thriller dynamic, and you just said you want to do something like that to let the audience know, is this thing going to get dangerous? Is it going to get sexy? What's it going to be?
Right, which is what we are sitting here right now.
Yeah.
No one knows, are we dangerous or sexy or both? But I mean, I thought I would encourage. I mean, I thought it was well and truly on the right track. So
Yeah,
it'd be really,
for sure.
Yeah. And so Devin, you did a great job. So the feedback is either make it shorter as a short film, or make it more. Well, actually, I had one question. The reveal of the wrong number.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying? Do you think it should be drawn out? Like you see Cassidy texting with an illicit lover, and we're like, oh, okay, this is what this is, and then it's revealed that she's pretending to be someone else. Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm saying keep the exact same reveal, meaning this. You've got, how interesting is it going to be that this woman is maybe cheating on her dude, right? That's up to the writer and then the people on post to decide. But my guess is, if that's going to either be shortened, or if you move up earlier, that moment that she lets the writer lets the audience in, that is someone else,
Okay.
that gives opportunity from that point on to be talking about what kind of person would do that, and what are you trying to say about people that they would do that? You know what I'm saying? And it might not be that piece. That might not be a worthwhile note, meaning that might burden the whole thing down more than it needs to be. Maybe this thing needs to just be clean and efficient. And if that's the case, and I agree with what you're saying, it's just like get a little bit of that fat out of there, and get to the
Make
to
it
the
short.
end. Yeah.
Make it a short film. All right, great. And thank you to the actors too, by the way. Great
Excellent job by the actors.
Yeah. Well done. So, Devin will be watching. Does anybody have any other feedback they want to add? Any thoughts, comments? I see a hand of a bespectacled man in the middle there. Greg, go for it.
What I thought was really great about it is that it has what any successful thriller needs, which is a hook. And the idea of the texting, the idea of, it was a little unclear to me, did she get the number, she didn't know who the guy was, and then she realized he thought she was someone else. That, I don't know if I didn't hear it right in the writing, it's just that was kind of unclear to me. I like the idea of, it was a mistake and she decides to go with it. I think potentially what a lot of people are doing now is making short films almost as a way of pitching, as a way of developing it into a feature film, and this certainly has that ability. I think the big thing for me is, what is the nature of the relationship, of the texting relationship with the guy? It felt a little generic in terms of it was sort of generically romantic. It's like that's such a potent thing, texting. And so what does he give her that she doesn't have in her relationship? And you mentioned that you always see the guy cooking, which I thought was kind of a funny thing, but it doesn't add a lot of depth to why she's unhappy in her life. And I also think if other characters, in other words, if she had a best friend, it felt very sort of in a bubble in a sense that she didn't talk to anybody else. So that puts the onus on more time with the texting. If she's sharing with a friend, you know what I'm saying? It's like she can't be sitting there by herself saying, "Oh my God, I'm talking to this guy. He's so wonderful." But if that's opened out a little bit, so I think it has a lot of great potential, and so I think it's a great sort of start. If it's a short film, I feel like you cheat us by her not seeing the news report that this guy went and killed. I also think the outburst that he had early on tipped the hat a little bit to he's a little possessive and crazy. If he's completely 100% wonderful, romantic, terrific, and then we see that turn, I think that's more. But I agree with you, Timmy. I was like, I want to know what happens. I don't want the guy to get arrested. The last thing I'll just say is that it is very easy to just block somebody's number. So I do think to up the threat level, something has to be gotten out. In other words, her address, something that he can find. So, but really great stuff, really, really good.
Agreed. Anyone else? Oh, yes.
This is a smaller note, but I felt like their other friends, Nick and Jessica, that was the name, right? That was a first opportunity as a chance to like be the comparison to Cassie and her boyfriend as to what a relationship should be, what she's missing, what she wants. If we could have had that dinner probably a little earlier happen in the pages, we could see maybe something that she's missing, she sees it in them, and that's kind of, we can relate to her more as to why she would text somebody else. It's a small note, I just thought that was a missed opportunity.
Do you have I kind of wanted to go to the dinner. We talked about it enough.
It seemed so decidedly those two places like that that can, when you shoot this thing and do it again, I felt like if the writer and then the filmmaker are both aware that that's a very, very decided rhythm and a thing, then you don't want to violate that. Like if you need to switch it up again, if you're not going to make the decision, get there quicker, you could just explore Cassidy and say particularly post. It felt like something wanted to happen with them characters as an evolution after the fight when Nick starts getting a little bit irked that she's not listening in the bathroom. That if you wanted to say more about just Cassie, maybe again you don't want to bog this thing down with it being a fable about something more deep, deeper, like how texting or whatever, motherfuckers live in a bubble and don't engage, forget that affects the real world. If you want to just keep it contained, there's still, you probably could keep it pretty lean and maybe just explore Cassie. I mean, like at the midpoint, just after that fight with Nick, how is her behavior a little bit different? Like there's that one line when she says, do you want to travel or whatever, do you like something about grapefruit or something?
Yeah.
But if there's different facets to this character that are starting to emerge and you're seeing that that's what she had been tamping down beyond just a great love affair that she imagined in her mind, might be another way to give it spice without violating what clearly is a decision by the writer to keep this super contained, two locations back and forth, and just sort of a pacing that ends in an ironic end.
That's true. All right. Anyone at the back?
I have a quick.
Yeah. Just anyway, just to the heavens. Yeah.
I have a quick note on like characters. I really felt as though more could have been done with Jay, other than saying, "Oh, he's an angry man," and so now he has this whole history behind him. There's a restraining order against him and everything like that. I felt like there could have been a little bit more hinting toward that earlier on. Maybe, "Oh, don't you remember? Like, don't you? I know you loved it when I pulled your hair." You know, like little things like that would kind of clue us in, but still kind of make us think that he's romantic and he's just a little freaky, but still romantic. And then you kind of tap into that crazy kind of psychotic, alter ego that he has. Because then I think that payoff at the end where we find out he goes back and kills Chloe, that would be more real. We know that he has the capacity to do so, and it's not just like, I'm angry, someone stood me up at the cafe,
Yeah. Yep. Ed?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, I really like the beat in the coffee shop. It felt really tense, and she was kind of like crazy to even go there. But I think if the reveals moved earlier, you can have more beats like that can heighten, that would lead to him actually killing this woman. And I want to feel that beat even more and more. And one thing, another separate thing that I wasn't sure of. We're not hearing the texts, right? Are we reading the texts?
I think we're reading that.
Yeah, I think we're reading them,
It just felt like there was we would be doing a lot of it would just be like her sitting there, and we'd just be like reading texts. And the guy.
You don't like
Or
you don't
is it voiceover or is it in description?
It just says in the script text.
It says text?
Yeah.
Okay. It's text. You don't like reading in your story? You
Well,
don't go see foreign films?
Well, and also you're great, and we don't get him to, we don't actually get to hear his voice till 15, 16 minutes in.
Yeah. No, fair point. TJ, I'm running the clock.
Two things. The narrator spoke more than anybody else on stage, so perhaps consider consolidating some of the narrative. There's a lot of eye rolling going on. said, well, I'm going up and I will introduce myself to him. And on the way, it just, all of a sudden, she sees the anger in him kind of develop. I mean, it just seems like there's a potential opportunity to raise the stakes for Cassie.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, if there's one more, we'll take it. If not, we'll move on. There's one more.
I absolutely love the structure and kind of concepts that were in this. And I feel like there are a lot of opportunities for the characters to have maybe a little more of a struggle that you identify with in Cassidy. I personally, as a woman, I felt at moments I didn't really identify with her because I didn't understand why she would like do certain things, so it wasn't necessarily clear what her motivations were, and I think that could be found in more kind of specification in the relationship, like with her current boyfriend. I think maybe if it was deepened a little bit, I would have felt more of a push-pull between them, if that makes sense.
Yep. I mean, one thing to do too is that I know that if there's a contrast too, like if the texter guy is like really caring or really like, what are you doing, like in a pleasant way, but like much more engaged, versus the boyfriend who's like, oh, I forgot you were doing that today, like disengaged.
Yeah.
That sort of
The
adds.
boyfriend was like very likable, and I was
Yeah, he
like,
was
well, why wouldn't she just,
perfect.
like her boyfriend? He needs to be kind of like a dick.
And he makes great pancakes. How could you chuck that in? So, all right, great. So, Devin, I hope that helps, and I hope you feel better. So, Devin, everyone. All right, actors for the second one, for next.
Of course he's here, right?
I am.
Yeah, thanks.
You're sweet.
So, Horsey and Piggy together and Hen and Papa
Should we switch so that I can wax the stallion, or does that matter?
Yeah. So this is the first episode of this is the pilot episode of the TV show. Yeah. Yeah.
Fade in, cold open, exterior farmland day. A pickup truck cruises down a country road. Fields sown with crops stretch out on both sides. Interior truck day. Murray, 30s, wearing a mesh ball cap over his mullet, sits in the driver's seat listening to country music. Suddenly, a bunch of turnips splat all over the windshield.
What the turnip?
Exterior farmland day. Murray's truck swerves wildly into a ditch, hits the lip, goes airborne, smashes through a fence, and ends up on its roof in a field. Nearby, Horsey, a brown horse with white dapples on her chest, and Piggy, a big fat pig, graze in the grass. Smoke is coming from under the hood. Murray crawls out and stumbles away from the wreck just before the truck explodes.
Ah, truck me.
Several turnips hit him in the back of the head. He whirls around, but all he sees are Horsey and Piggy.
Who did that?
He turns around again and gets pelted once more.
All right. Whoever the hell did that better come out here right now and get your ass whooping.
A tractor approaches, driven by the turnip farmer, 40, strong, built like an ox. He wears overalls and a straw hat. He jumps down from his tractor.
What the darn hell happened here?
Someone threw turnips in my truck.
To hell with your truck. What about my fence?
Screw your fence. Who threw the turnips? Was it you?
It wasn't me, my friend.
You're a turnip farmer, aren't you?
Watch your sass, son, or I'll slap it off your mouth.
You want some of this?
Murray rips his shirt off. The turnip farmer pops the straps on his overalls and rips his shirt off too.
Prepare to be harvested!
The turnip farmer and Murray start fighting. Horsey and Piggy watch, laughing wildly.
Oh, should we throw some more turnips at them?
No, this is more entertaining.
Woo, best friends!
Best friends!
In the background, the turnip farmer punches into Murray's chest and rips his heart out. Act 1. Interior stable, day. Horsey stands in her stable chewing on some hay. Piggy arrives. He hands Horsey what appears to be a mud-covered apple.
Happy birthday, Horsey. I brought you an apple from the slop bucket.
Gross, it's covered in pig shit.
No, that's just mud.
Piggy starts licking it clean. He stops when he notices Horsey looks really depressed.
Why the long face?
I'm getting old. Soon I'll just be an old gray man.
What are you talking about?
I'm turning 5. My 4 is all behind me now. My life is over.
Come on. Your life's not over. It's just starting. In fact, tonight we're going out.
Thanks, but I think I'm just gonna stay in and chew some hay.
Quit acting like you've been put out to pasture. It's your birthday. We're going out and getting wasted.
I don't want to.
You might run into Stallion.
Gross! He's barely 3 years old. He's practically a foal.
Piggy crosses his arms.
Fine, but just a drink.
All right.
Piggy licks the apple clean and hands it back to Horsey.
Oh, you were right. It was shit.
Exterior hen house day. The front door to a small house flies open and Cock, the farm's rooster, comes running out. Hen, his girlfriend, follows.
Get out, get out, get out!
Jeez, Hen, I said I was sorry.
Sorry? That's all you have to say for yourself?
She didn't mean anything to me. She was just a chicken.
That's what you said about the last one.
Well, maybe if you'd let me see your egg layer every once in a while, I wouldn't do this.
You know, Cock, sometimes you can be a real rooster.
She turns and marches back to the door.
I didn't mean that. Hen, I'm sorry.
It's over, Cock.
She slams the door in his face. Exterior blue sky day. Hawk, a teenage hawk, wearing a falconry hood with the eyes cut out as a mask, soars high above the farm. Down below in the turnip field, he spots Rabbit, a jackrabbit and recreational drug user, hunkered down among the rows of turnip plants.
What have we here?
Hawk drops into a dive. Rabbit is sparking a joint when he looks up and sees Hawk diving at him. Rabbit ducks at the last second as Hawk flies by, talons out. Rabbit bounds away, followed by Hawk in close pursuit. Rabbit drops a plastic baggie and ducks into a hole. Hawk lands and picks up the bag. It's a bag of weed with the picture of a smiling cat on it.
Cat. You can't hide from the talons of justice forever, Rabbit. Sooner or later they will find you.
Hawk screeches and takes off. Interior barn, Horsey and Piggy enter. Farm animals of all types mill about, holding drinks and engaged in conversation. Hay bales are stacked around like tables. They sidle up to the bar. Cat leans against it.
Happy birthday, Horsey.
Ah, don't remind me.
What's up with her?
She thinks she's getting old.
For real? You look like healthy as yourself.
That's what I've been trying to tell her, but she won't listen.
Find me later. I got a little something that'll make you feel young again.
Cat saunters away. Goat, the bartender, comes over.
What'll it be? 2 slop beers and 2 shots.
Oh, no shots. I just want a hard cider.
It'll take forever to get you drunk.
I told you, 1 drink.
You heard the horse.
Piggy leans in and whispers to Goat.
And 2 shots of grain alcohol.
Looks back at Horsey.
Make hers a bucket.
As they wait for their drink, Stallion, a sleek, muscular, powerful-looking horse, confidently strolls by. Horsey's jaw drops. Stallion turns and looks at her for a red-hot moment. Horsey seems to be hypnotized.
Take me home and treat me like a farm animal.
Stallion breaks eye contact. Piggy snaps his hoofs at her.
Horsey. Earth to Horsey.
Horsey snaps out of it. What?
Are you okay? Our drinks are here.
2 beers, a shot, and a bucket sit on the bar. Horsey absently grabs the bucket while looking in Stallion's direction. She downs it.
That's the spirit.
Piggy drinks his shot. Interior barn. Cock sits at the bar nursing a beer. He looks depressed. Goat walks over and starts wiping the bar down.
Cock, you look like someone just made fun of your waddle.
Hen broke up with me.
Uh-oh. What happened this time?
She had caught me inspecting the chicken coop for eggs.
Well, that seems pretty innocent.
They hadn't been laid yet.
Oh. That's bad.
She threw me out.
Cock takes a drink.
But what does she expect? I'm the only rooster around. I'm not wired to be a 1-hen cock. It's biology, man.
I know the feeling. Before I came to the farm, I was the only Billy at a petting zoo.
How was that?
Oh, it was terrible. The feed was awful. I never got a moment to myself. And the one time I headbutt a handsy kid, I get the cattle prod.
I was talking about the ladies.
Oh. Well, let's just say that when the lights went down, tin cans and trash weren't the only things I was munching on.
Did you miss it?
Nah. I realized pretty quickly that none of those nannies truly cared about me. It wasn't until I came to the Turnip farm and met my wife that I realized how special it is to be wanted for something more than just your horn.
What are you saying?
If you want Hen back, maybe you need to make her feel special.
A chicken rolls up to the bar and sits next to Cock. Hey there, Cock.
Hey, they're special.
Cock gives Goat a wink. Exterior shed night. Horsey and Piggy, laughing, stumble towards the shed. They are both smashed.
Wait, what happened to Stallion?
He left like an hour ago.
Oh man, that sucks. Where are we?
I don't know. I stopped paying attention after the 7th shot.
Oh man, those buckets might have been a bad idea.
A tractor is parked next to the shed.
Hey, check it out.
Piggy drunkenly climbs inside the cab. Keys are in the ignition.
The keys are in it. Let's go for a ride.
I should drive. God knows I'm old enough.
Horsey stumbles and nearly falls over.
I don't think that's a good idea.
You're right. I won't fit in the cab. I ride in the bucket.
Horsey gets in the tractor's bucket as Piggy fires it up. He drops it into gear and gasses it.
Screw you, Turnip farmer!
Exterior road field night. The tractor races down the road at super speed. It jumps over a fence, swerves around a tree, and hauls ass through the turnip field. Piggy and Horsey hoot and holler as they go.
I'm queen of the farm.
I'm king of the sty!
Suddenly, we come back to reality and see that the tractor is moving at a very slow speed. It is driven through a fence, knocked over a tree, and made swerving tracks through the turnip field. Horsey whinnies in her animal voice while Piggy oinks. Piggy leans out the window and barfs all over the side of the tractor. Interior barn. Cat stands in the back corner, face in shadow. Rabbit hands her a wad of cash, and Cat hands him a baggie of drugs. Rabbit bounds away as Hawk flies in and lands on a hay bale.
What's in the bags, Cat?
What bags?
Hawk tosses the bag he found earlier at Cat's feet.
I've never seen that bag.
Don't lie to me, Cat.
You're not fooling anyone with that stupid mask.
My name is Falcon Hawk. Now answer my question or face the talons of justice.
I see, because I'm a cat. I must be selling dope.
If the purr fits.
Eat litter.
Cat lies down and starts to clean herself.
Hey, quit that. Hey, I'm talking to you. Stop doing that.
Still ignoring, Hawk screeches and flies away. Interior hen house. Hen and her friend Marsh, a female Marsh Daisy breed of chicken, sit in Hen's house drinking Chardonnay.
Can you believe his nerve? It's like he expects me to be happy that he struts around the yard, cock-a-doodle doing whatever he pleases.
He is such a pig.
He may be the only cock around here, but it's no excuse to treat me like that.
If I only had a corn kernel for every time I told him that exact same thing.
Hen gives Marsh a look.
I mean, when we're together, like, that's what I tell him.
Hen's look gets harder, angrier.
Like, if we were together, that's what I tell him.
Is it bad that I already miss him?
No. You're not gonna feel sorry for yourself. Get up, we're gonna go out, and if he can mess around, then so can you.
No, he would hate it if I did that. Let me put on my feathers.
Exterior turnip field night. Horsey and Piggy, drunk as hell, sit next to the tractor.
That was awesome.
Hell yeah, it was.
You booted all over the tractor.
You pooed in the bucket. Do you smell onions?
I thought that was your breath.
No, my breath smells like vomit. I think the onion farm is on the other side of those trees.
We see a stand of trees and bushes. Piggy stands up.
Let's go vandalize the onion farm's crops.
Don't they have guns over there?
Probably.
I'm in.
Exterior onion field night. Horsey and Piggy sneak out of the trees and onto the onion field.
Oh my god, this smells worse than the cow pasture.
It smells like the space between my hooves.
It's burning my eyes.
Oh, quick, let's ruin stuff before we go blind.
Horsey and Piggy yank onions from the ground and poo all over the place. They pull a scarecrow down from his wooden post and stomp him. A shadow approaches.
Who's there?
The onion farmer steps out of the shadows. He's skinny in his 50s with mostly silver hair. In his hands is a shotgun.
Oh shit. Freeze.
Horsey and Piggy freeze. The scarecrow sits on the ground between them. A shotgun blast blows the scarecrow's head off.
Run!
They run away as shotgun blasts ring out.
Goddamn turnip farm!
Act 2. Exterior dance club night. Horsey and Piggy walk towards a corrugated metal building. Bumping music can be heard from inside. A sheep exits as colored lights spill out from the door.
Let's hit the club.
I think I've had enough.
No, we're just getting started.
I can't. I'm getting a headache and I've got a fully field to plow tomorrow.
Stallion suddenly trots up to the door. Horsey once again becomes completely fixated on his rippling horse physique. Stallion turns and makes eye contact once again.
Saddle me up and take me for a ride.
Piggy snaps his hoof in front of her face.
Horsey, yoo-hoo, Horsey.
What? Sure. Let's go in.
Interior dance club. Horsey and Piggy stand at the bar, drinks in their hoofs. The music is loud, laser lights shoot all over the dance floor where a throng of farm animals grind each other. Horsey spots Stallion dancing with a donkey. Piggy notices her gaze.
Why don't you go talk to him?
What would I say? Besides, he's already dancing with that donkey. I mean, look at that ass. I can't compete with that.
You are a strong, intelligent, beautiful horse. You can get that guy. Just be confident. Besides, he's probably just as drunk as you are.
Thanks a lot.
Suddenly, Stallion is wading through the crowd, coming right towards them.
Oh, shit. Here he comes. What should I do?
Just play it cool.
Piggy gives a wink and walks away.
Piggy, wait!
Hey, I'm Stallion.
Horsey.
I noticed you watching me dance.
I wasn't watching. I just get hypnotized by the lights.
I was watching too.
You were?
Oh yeah. We've been eye-mounting each other all night. What do you say we get out of here and go back to my stable?
Horsey runs her eyes over his rippling horse muscles.
Okay.
Interior dance club. Piggy is on the edge of the dance floor dancing by himself. Hen slides up next to him.
Hey, Piggy. What are you doing here all alone?
I'm giving Horsey a little space. She's got a stallion ready to trot.
Sounds hot.
Where's Cock?
I'm done with cock.
Really? I thought you loved Cock.
Not anymore.
Gander, a male goose, dances past them.
You could give Gander a gander.
Hen runs her wing along Piggy's arm.
Actually, I've always had a thing for pigs. Real pigs, that is. The kind of pig who knows how to treat a chicken.
Hen grabs Piggy and pulls him close.
What are you doing?
I'm done being controlled by cock. What do you say you come back to the hen house and ruffle my feathers?
She kisses Piggy long and deep. Piggy's curly tail goes straight.
Well, take this little piggy all the way home.
Let's go.
Interior chicken coop night. Cock and chicken lay next to each other in bed, breathing heavy. That was amazing.
I know.
She lights up a cigarette. Cock rolls on his side and watches her.
You are really beautiful.
Chicken makes a face. Don't start that.
Start what?
That lovey-dovey crap. It's annoying.
It's true.
Listen, you're an incredible cock and I love it when we're together, but that's where it ends for me.
So I'm just a hookup for you?
Yeah, I thought you knew that.
Are you kidding me?
Hey, don't take it personal, sweetie. Isn't that how you feel about all the other chickens you're with?
Well, yeah, I guess, but I didn't think you thought that about me.
Get over yourself, honey. You're a great lay, but that's it. Cock gets out of bed.
I'm leaving.
Thanks. I hate always having to ask you. It makes things awkward. Cock marches out. Interior stable night. Horsey and Stallion make out, splash in a beam of moonlight.
Your face is so long and your nostrils are so big.
Your hair is driving me crazy.
Thanks. I mainscape.
Stallion stops kissing.
What's wrong?
Stallion's bravado suddenly drops away. Now he acts more like a colt instead of a stallion.
Sorry, it's just that this is my first time.
It is?
With an older horse.
I'm not that old.
Well, you're like 6, aren't you?
6?
Oh my God, you're 7?
7?
8?
I am 5. That is only 2 years older than you.
Actually, I'm not that old.
Oh, don't tell me you're only 2.
I'm not.
Oh, thank God.
I'm 18 months.
Interior hen house. Hen throws Piggy down on her nest.
Whoa, take it easy.
Hen slaps Piggy hard across the face.
Shut up. I didn't tell you you could oink. Don't move.
Hen disappears into another room. Piggy nervously glances at the door.
I think I'm gonna leave.
Hen re-enters wearing black latex lingerie. She has a whip in one hand and a studded collar in the other. Piggy's eyes grow scared. She cracks the whip.
You aren't going anywhere, are you, you bad little piggy?
Exterior henhouse night. The crack of a whip splits the night along with panicked, high-pitched squeals. Interior stable night. Horsey takes a step back from Stallion.
18 months?
I'll be 19 in a couple of weeks.
I can't rob a stable like this.
Maybe this will change your mind.
Horsey's jaw drops and her eyes get huge.
What the hell is that?
It's my horse pee-pee.
It's like 3.5 feet long.
Actually, it's 4, but it feels like 5.
Oh, I can't. I want to, but no.
Horsey turns to leave.
No, don't go.
Horsey exits. Stallion looks disappointed. A moment later, Horsey pops her head back in and takes one last look.
Nope, can't do it.
Interior henhouse. Piggy wears the collar as Hen cracks the whip. He squeals in terror.
Let's make some bacon.
No, please don't.
Hen starts softly crying as Piggy opens his eyes. She sits down next to him.
I can't do it. Hearing you scream for mercy reminds me of Cock. He loves to be dominated. Seeing you in his collar makes me miss him.
Piggy puts an arm around Hen.
He treats me like pig food, no offense. He's arrogant, selfish, narcissistic. He even nicknamed his comb Waddle. He calls them Thunder and Lightning.
He's definitely a cock.
I love him, though. Oh, you probably think I'm stupid for saying that.
Oh, you can't choose who you love, but you can choose how you let them treat you. You're a cool chicken, Hen. You deserve better.
Thanks.
Exterior barn night. Hawk stands in the shadows with Mouse, a white field mouse.
You know what to do?
Yeah, well, what about my payment?
Just make the deal. I'll be watching. Once justice has been delivered, you'll get your cheese.
Hey, just so you know, I'm not a rat.
Interior barn. Cat leans against a hay bale. Mouse approaches.
Hey, so, I heard you got some stuff for sale.
Who told you that?
Nobody. Just the word on the farm.
Okay, behind you.
They disappear behind a hay bale. Exterior barn night. Hawk watches the exchange through a hole in the barn wall.
No. What are you doing?
Interior barn. Hawk flies inside and around the hay bale only to discover Mouse dead on his back, claw marks all over him. Hawk screeches. Exterior barn night. Horsey and Piggy meet up. They both look a little stunned.
Where's Sally?
Turns out our age difference is a little too big. What's with the collar?
Oh, let's just say I learned some things about cock I didn't know.
Me too.
So what's next?
Sleep. I've got the spins.
Oh, you can't go home yet. The night isn't over until the sun comes up.
All I want to do right now is go back to my stable and just stand there.
Wait! Let's do one more crazy thing. Come on, please.
Piggy, no!
Fine. I guess you really are an old gray mare.
Fine. One more thing.
Exterior farmhouse night. Horsey and Piggy stand at the back door to the farmhouse.
We are not breaking into the farmhouse.
This will be the most insanely epic thing a farm animal has ever done.
Are you nuts? What if the farmer wakes up? We'll be bacon and glue before we can blink.
Cock crows his ass off every morning and the farmer never wakes up. It'll be fine. Come on.
Piggy jiggles the handle on the back door, but it's locked. He tries the window, but it won't open.
Well, it looks like it's locked. Let's go.
Wait, kick it in.
That will wake the farmer for sure.
You don't have to kick it hard. Just give it a love tap.
Horsey turns around and kicks the back door in. The door blasts off its hinges and flies into the house. They listen for a beat, and then Piggy smiles.
I told you. Let's go.
Interior farmhouse kitchen night. Horsey and Piggy creep into the kitchen.
We made it in, now let's leave.
Chill out. Let's see what he's got to eat.
Piggy sniffs out the trash and starts to eat it. He notices the fridge.
Hey, what's that white box?
I don't know.
Piggy reaches out and grabs the handle. He pulls the door open. Light spills out. The fridge is full of fresh food. Piggy's eyes go wide.
It's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Piggy starts to pick out on all the wonderful food, oinking loudly as he does. Finally, Horsey pulls him out.
We're making too much noise. Let's go.
In a second.
Interior farmhouse living room night. Piggy jumps up on the white couch, soiling it with his muddy feet. He laughs as he does. He jumps off the couch, knocking over a lamp, and heads into the dining room.
Piggy!
Interior farmhouse dining room night. A chandelier light hangs above a long dining room table. A china cabinet sits next to the table. Piggy jumps on this table, leaps up and grabs the chandelier, swinging back and forth on it, laughing his ass off.
You're going to break it!
I'm not gonna break it!
The chandelier lets go from the ceiling, dropping Piggy onto the table, snapping it in half. Glass shatters everywhere. Horsey jumps back and plows into the china cabinet, breaking all of the china.
You idiot!
Piggy looks up the ceiling. He puts a hoof across his lips. They both listen intently, but there's only silence.
We're done. Let's go.
Fine, party pooper.
They carefully walk around the broken glass and furniture, but Horsey steps on a creaky floorboard.
Hey, who's that? Who's down there?
It's the farmer. You woke him up.
I woke him up.
Interior farmhouse upstairs hallway night. The bedroom door flies open, revealing the turnip farmer in his pajamas with a shotgun in his hands. He pumps it. Interior farmhouse dining room night. The turnip farmer walks among his damaged furniture.
What the dang hell happened here?
Interior hallway closet. Horsey and Piggy are crammed into the closet. Piggy looks out through the keyhole.
I told you this was a bad idea. I can't go to the glue factory yet. I'm too young to die.
Interior farmhouse closet night. The sounds of a whinny come from the hall closet. The turnip farmer walks over and aims his gun at it.
I know you're in there. I'll give you to the count of 3 to come out, and then I'm gonna blast you. 1, 2, 3!
Piggy, quaking with fear, hugs Horsey. The turnip farmer starts to depress the trigger when a voice calls from outside.
Hey, turnip farmer! Get out of here, you son of a bitch!
The turnip farmer turns his back to the closet door. Horsey and Piggy open the closet door and escape. Exterior farmhouse night. The turnip farmer strides out of his house. On his front lawn stands the onion farmer, shotgun in his hands.
Onion farmer. I thought my eyes were starting to sting.
2 of your filthy animals dug up my crop.
You got a lot of sass, onion farmer.
You want some of this?
The onion farmer jacks a shell into the breach.
Time to reap the seeds of pain!
The turnip farmer aims and fires. Horsey and Piggy watch from the side of the house as the two men trade shotgun blasts.
Should we throw something at them?
Let's go sit on Hilltop instead.
Exterior henhouse dawn. Cock knocks on the front door. Hen answers with a mean look and her arms crossed.
What do you want?
Take me back.
Goodbye.
Wait. I realized something important tonight.
That you should get tested for everything?
I realized that it sucks getting used and that you deserve better. So I just want to say something that I want the whole chicken coop to hear it. I love Hen. Ever since I first saw her picking feed off the ground, I loved her.
All the other chickens come to the windows and doors of the chicken coop.
I loved her feathers, her smile, her tiny brain, even her constant pecking.
Exterior farm dawn. The sounds of cocks crowing can be heard across the farm. Exterior henhouse dawn.
I love you, Hen. You're special. I don't want to crow without you.
A collective aww is heard throughout the coop. Hen wipes a tear from her eye.
Maybe I'm not done with cock after all.
She runs to him and they peck at each other's faces. Exterior hilltop morning. The sun is rising over the horizon. Horsey and Piggy sit in the grass on top of a hill overlooking the farm.
That might have been the best birthday ever.
I can't wait for next year.
The end.
to the actors. Great job, guys. Please sit among us. Malcolm.
I thought it was good. Very funny. I feel like some of the work that can be done without really being destructive at all to what's already in place, which is always great. When I think first globally, like when you're dealing with something that sort of has a heightened tone like this, and you're exploring edge, you actually could go way further with the edge in the moments like if a horse's dick is gonna come out, you know, make that a set piece, you know what I'm saying? Don't be scared of it. They're animals, you know, they eat shit, they do, you know what I'm saying? Like you can have fun with that. And that brings me back to the other global note, which is really simple, is all the laser sharp stuff you're doing with the dialogue jokes regarding animal behavior, you can dig a little bit deeper with making that physical, like whatever the animal's attributes are, turn that into physical action. Like I would argue that the chickens should be half retarded, you know what I'm saying? Because you can go further with all that stuff and really make it active, like meaning, once you say, like, if you agree with the chicken though, right? You're playing the exact same storyline, but if a chicken is that stupid, then what would be happening in each individual scene with a chicken being that dumb? Or if a pig is a disgusting, shit-eating, but brilliant animal, what can you do to lay? And again, it doesn't really fundamentally change any scenes you have, it just allows you to have sort of character interaction being based on animal traits, and then physical comedy based on animal traits. And by the way, I think it was really good. So I don't think none of the stuff I'm talking about is a major ripple. The relationship and story between horse and pig is in the existing scenes. I would look at like really getting into what does it mean beyond the fact that, oh, I'm getting older, right? If you could put something on it, like if at this age horses are, you know, their legs break or their shoes go bad, like this is a significant thing, and just look at the exact same scenes you got and explore what it really means that because she's at this age, she's willing to risk her life. Like make all the scenes that you got mean more, because I remember when I was listening to the read, I was like, oh shit, when the farmer's coming out with the gun and they're hiding whatever, if you've done your work right, this is a breakthrough watershed moment for the horse. The horse is wondering why she risked her life, whatever. And I think, again, you can, with her and the young horse and the 4-inch dick, you can go further with that as far as a set piece and what it means to her, you know what I'm saying, depending on how that encounter goes. But overall, I thought it was good. I think like all the work can be done within what you got, and it's just really research these animals, not saying you don't know them, but to just fine tune, make it heighten all their behavior as far as in the interaction and physical jokes in the scenes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. My main note was that I didn't think enough happened from a story point of view. Like Piggy and Horsey, like everybody else had their own stories. Like Hen and Cock got what they were doing, but Piggy and Horsey broke into the house just for shits and giggles. And to me, I was like, at that point, it was like, I kind of felt like they needed a reason to break into the house. They needed a reason to go somewhere. There was sort of no reason. What we were watching was just great. I mean, and really sharp dialogue and all that. So and great characters. I totally agree with everything Malcolm's saying. But I really wanted them to have a framework. Like they had something they needed to achieve in this night, and that compelled them to break into the farmer's house. And it compelled, just sort of. Just like in a normal, like in a show, there's like something for them to do. Plot was really what was lacking.
Yeah, and I think you can achieve that though. You could just go with character, like if she's having an existential crisis, and it is devolving for her, and she's pushing it to the point that it's getting dangerous, and then that encounter with the stallion, like if you can figure out what that means to her, like oh fuck, 2 years ago. That dude would have been mounting me right here in this bar, you know what I'm saying? But now, like, look at me, and then you get to that encounter and make that mean something. So it's all pushing her towards a point that it, you know what I'm saying? It's you either plot where there's a task or a story objective, or you make it very, very clear that all these scenes are unraveling a character on a clear trajectory, and they all mean something as far as how they're affecting her and sending her.
Yeah, what he said. I agree with that. There's two choices. You can make it plot heavy, or you really, you make it. I mean, you essentially are making a plot about her existential crisis. It becomes the plot, and then everything feeds into her existential crisis of turning 5. That's her, and then she has her. Then it's there, and Piggy is like this sort of smart, disgusting enabler in some way.
It is, again, it's funny, I got to almost the same things now pop in my head as from the last one is, because of where you're pushing these things and there's sort of life or death stakes in it, it might be good to register. I think in the beginning, one of the dudes snatches someone's heart out, right?
Yeah.
It is, if you can check in with that kind of shit one more time, like have something very surprising and very violent happen. Well, you do, you got Rat, maybe, it could
Mouse.
be.
He's no Rat.
Mouse. but it might be if there's a way to sort of give Mouse a more dynamic intro, and then you see Cat eat his head off, which is what they do, you know what I'm saying? But you don't foreshadow it. It is the expectation is a drug deal, and because you have everything there. You set audience expectations. That's the great thing about comedy is you say, oh, I know what's gonna happen here. This drug deal's gonna go down, and then Hawk's gonna come and do whatever, and Cat's either gonna thwart him or not, right? But that whole thing gets subverted, and Cat just starts eating his head. It's funny and different, but it's also reminding the audience, shit, horse and pig, while they're on this journey, it could go down, they could die, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, which feeds back to Malcolm's first point, was that everything could be more heightened and more extreme. Yeah, and then we're guessing. Because the laughs were great, I mean, everybody was sort of engaged, but you really felt, you were sort of in the shallow end, and there were deeper laughs to be mined from your existing.
You literally mapped it all out, dude. You just look at all those things and just say, you don't have to, and every single thing doesn't have to go there. It's all pacing, but all the greats, anyone who's doing edgy comedy from South Park, you see a food fight, that the whole movie, they're basically saying, you just gotta make it to the end, and we promise we're gonna pay all this shit off. You do wanna find that sense of where, oh fuck, you know what I'm saying? Like I got great dialogue, jokes, and innuendo, whatever, but these are animals, and any number of wild things could be happening, you know what I'm saying, in a given moment.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We'll take any comments. You said.
I thoroughly enjoyed the dialogue, especially the vulgarity of the jokes and how it wasn't just vulgar for the sake of being vulgar. There's some wit and some depth to it. The only thing I would say is definitely when writing out the next episodes or whatever that you're doing with that is to make sure that you keep that wit behind it. Yeah, there's some throwaways and whatnot, but just don't get to the end of how many episodes you have been writing and just having your dialogue be vulgar just for the sake of being vulgar, you know what I mean? But I loved it. The puns were phenomenal.
Go ahead.
I think it mentioned plot points as far as the only thing if getting to the end, especially the pilot, is wondering where we're going to be for an episode 2, because it seems like they've destroyed his house and he's about to kill someone with a shotgun or be killed himself with a shotgun. So just that simple curiosity of where the jump off point is for episode 2. But also, my question is, do you see this is this like an animated like BoJack Horseman kind of, or more sort of like a Wilfred where it's like literally people wearing ridiculous costumes?
I thought of both of those.
Yeah.
I tend to lean more towards like a BoJack Horseman, just fully animated.
Yeah.
I think it would work better that way.
Okay.
Yeah, to get that horse dick joke in there, you know.
If only for that.
You get away with a lot more.
Too expensive.
No, I appreciate very very much kind of, no pun intended, piggybacking off of the last gentleman. There's you grab a few low-hanging fruit jokes, but like you earned it when you do grab those ones. Like you set it up very well. You operate in that kind of lowbrow humor with really great navigation to where it's very intelligent. It's still very intelligent, even though it is lingering in that like vulgarity. It's not just gratuitous. So like, because when I first started to read the script, and like looking over the script, I was very skeptical of it immediately because you see Horsey and Piggy, and like so. Thank you for proving me so incredibly wrong. But yeah, great job with the dialogue and everything.
Thank you. We had one of our insiders was Ant Hines, who was one of the writers on Borat and works with Sasha, and he did the Brothers Grimsby. Have you seen that? Because there is.
I haven't seen it. I've heard of it.
Have you heard? Because there's a giant patch where they hide inside a female elephant's vagina, and then there's a gang rape. She then gets gang raped by a line of male elephants. So there's constant giant and lots. So you may want to check that out. In terms of and moving on before we're banned from YouTube. Anyone else? Sammy.
I really loved it. I think it's really funny. It's something I personally at least was watched the hell out of. In terms of talking about what Malcolm was saying about getting to like the real like animalistic things that these actual animals do, it made me wonder if, because Cobb kind of does this when he becomes monogamous, at least for the next 6 seconds with Henry. But I'm wondering if there's an animal who is really working against what their natural instincts are. More in that vein, because Hawk was being very hawk-like, Cat was being surreptitious and sneaky, and I was wondering if there would be any more of those elements where someone was trying to be something they really weren't, and whether they succeed or fail, and what that payoff might be.
The cat being like super hyperactive. Yeah. Yeah, like attention deficit.
It's funny. It really is like I'm just thinking like taking some of the jokes you have and start to look at them as set pieces. Like all the great animators, you're like, people talk shit about Family Guy or whatever, but I'm super into animated comedies, and I've done them. But they know, whether it's them or the geniuses on South Park, I'm saying, once they find a good one, like I felt like a lot of money was left on the table with the horse thing, but also I feel like Pig should have one slam dunk, disgusting Pig set piece where you just go further and further. You ever seen Teen America, the vomit thing, you know what I'm saying? You find out where your money is and just go all in. What's the most disgusting series of things Pig could do in a given moment, you know what I'm saying?
You can watch this again, by the way. We're recording it, so in case you forget. If you want to. Anyone else have anything? No? All right. Nick, the question I always ask, how did you find hearing it out loud? What did you get from it?
I loved hearing it out loud because you hear everything in your head, your own voice. It's always your own voice, and just hearing it out loud, hearing people put different choices than I would have made on it was really cool to hear. And now that I've heard that, when I go back and start rewriting and working on it, that'll definitely be in my head.
Do you have any questions for us, for Malcolm, for anyone? Any comments, questions, anything at all?
As it pertains to, I have an overall question for Malcolm.
Oh, we're about to get to that,
okay.
and I'll select you.
I thought they were great notes.
Okay. So you go.
Same
So,
with audience.
okay, because this is if you have anything else that you want to talk about in the script, now is your moment. So, you good? All right.
Good.
Nick Alverson, everyone. All right, Malcolm, it's you and I for, we have like 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll move a bit closer. And by the way, Devin has emerged and has a question to ask you, which I'll ask in a minute. So Devin was the writer of the first script, so she is watching and she's feeling better, which is great. So, how did you get into this crazy thing?
The writing thing?
Yeah.
It's I worked hard for, I think, like, I took writing seriously for about 7 years before I broke in. I don't know how many scripts I wrote, but, you know, good amount. And I broke in with it just worked out. I did a blind submission. There was one script where I kind of knew it was gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, sometimes you know, it's just the energy is different. Your writing I'm still growing a lot as a writer, but this is about 16 years ago. It's that moment where, like, your idea and your leaps in your writing match up at the right moment. And so I knew it's weird, I had a sense that I was gonna break in, and I wrote this thing, and I mailed it to...
What was it? Was it a feature?
It was a feature, yeah. Yeah, it was right, the feature market had just died. So we didn't know for sure it was over, but we was finding out. I submitted it to this agent at ICM, John Williams. She's not in the business anymore. And to a friend of a friend who was a Fox exec. And Monday morning, my phone was ringing. It was ICM saying, "We want to represent you. We want to come, like, right now. Where are you at?" You know what I'm saying? It was 9 in the morning. And by Wednesday, I had a couple offers from studios, and it's still, that's the highlight of my career. Shit was downhill after that.
So just go back a step. How old were you when you decided to commit? I mean, you said 7 years before you had that week.
So it was in my 20s. I broke in right before I turned 30. So.
But what made you decide, like, I'm gonna do this? Like, what?
You know, it's funny, when you're in your hometown, it's easy to bullshit and talk about what you want to do, whether you want to be a writer or a dancer or athlete or whatever. You can just talk about it and talk about it and talk about it, and people will entertain the bullshitting. When you come to LA, people are their shit's starting to pop. So you're sitting there, like I said, I was fucking around, maybe not completing stuff. I didn't know how to type, you know what I'm saying? So I had to teach, I was handwriting my shit, and, you know, my girl would type it into a document. And then the people I was around and in these little writers groups with were starting to sell scripts, you know what I'm saying, starting to get and disappear. They don't call you no more. And it just gets very hard in LA to bullshit, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever people want to say about this city, everyone takes this shit very, very seriously here. So, you know, I got really, really focused. Like, I couldn't, you know, I'm competitive or whatever. I couldn't be the only guy out of my writers group. There was only one other dude who made it from the writers group, but still, it's like, I'm still kind of cool with him. But I was like, nah, this motherfucker ain't about to leave me behind. But I think that's what it was. It's just seeing that everybody in the city they weren't just talking. You know what I'm saying? They were doing whatever it took to make it happen.
So what did it look like for you turning that corner? Like, what changes did you make? When you got serious, what does that look like?
It is. It's hard for me. It's different for so.
Oh, everyone's process is different. So
yeah. So I was coming in from a very, very non-Hollywood. I didn't work in the business. I didn't have friends really in the business. So there was a education process. Like, I think the first thing I had to accept is, because of where I come from and sort of what the things I put a premium on culturally didn't apply in Hollywood, and I had to start giving that shit up. I had to stop. The first thing I had to start doing was giving up what I thought the business should be, how I thought people should behave, because the shit where you come from, it just doesn't apply. It doesn't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether you call it respect or, like, none of that means nothing. You know what I'm saying? And another thing was, I used to judge other writers' work, and this motherfucker can't write or this and that, which is embarrassing now when I read the shit that I broke in with. I'm like, and I had to give that up, because you start to realize your opinions on shit, it just doesn't mean nothing except for you. It literally has no value. What you think is good and what you think isn't, what you think the business shit doesn't mean anything except for you, because everyone else is out there with their own opinions doing their thing. So it was really about, I guess the global thing was becoming humble, and then in humility that allowed me to start dealing with notes differently. All of a sudden it became a little bit more of, I'm less and less confrontational each time I'm in the notes process, but there was a big leap I made in understanding this is my reaction to notes. I have not been winning, so now I need to change that process again. I guess it comes back to humility, and you need to start understand that this person you sit down in a room with someone that's giving you notes, and at that moment you have entered a room that is not for you and it's not for them, it's for the project. And you have to let this be a process and see what comes out of it. Which brings me to another thing that I think I see with a lot of young writers, and I definitely dealt with it myself, is this idea of being done. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It kills people. You think you did it, and it doesn't fucking matter how hard you worked on your script. If you haven't gotten to a point where you are regularly able to generate material that gets you work, your shit is meaningless. Like, you wrote this script and it's about to get torn to bits. And thinking that you were close or thinking that you were done just makes that process more painful. If you understand all I did was write some shit that's gonna get the game started on where it's really gonna go, and that doesn't mean you listen to everyone's notes, but it just means until you've learned to write on a level that you're winning regularly, all you're doing is writing good enough to get you in a position that people are gonna help you get this one thing to where you can win. So the global thing, I think, is humility and a bunch of shit that came in with it.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing this process. I've had a couple of people write me feedback because I give them notes, and then I get feedback that says, "I'm really happy with where this is, and I think it's fine, and or perfect, or done," and they just sort of blow through the feedback. And it's like, look, that's fine. That's your choice. I'm not gonna. It's your work ultimately. But yeah, I know it's.
That's
hard.
probably number one for writers. It
Yeah.
really is understanding. Don't go defending your work. First thing is, if you understand it's not done and it's not nowhere near done, it makes it a little bit, if you're really accepting that in a true level, it isn't that difficult to accept, well, fuck, if this thing's not nowhere near done, then I might as well start hearing about some things that can help me get a little bit closer to getting to work. But I agree that is, I see it in, I think, a majority of writers I work with. I can tell when I'm telling them shit, they're not hearing me, and they're defending the work, they're explaining why I'm wrong about what I'm saying. And it's like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. But it's hard. It's hard to do. I mean, did you do anything to do? You just sort of looked at it and was like, you know what, I'm going to have to get serious, which means I'm going to have to start listening more.
You fail. I mean, if you really are serious about what you're doing, and not everybody's serious about what they're doing, and that doesn't mean they won't make it as a writer either, but you might harbor options of doing some other shit, and you'll definitely get sent that way, or maybe you're so fucking brilliant that even just casually, and it does happen for some people, there's the kind of people that literally be like, fuck it, I'm gonna be a brain surgeon, and then go to medical school, and you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But
we all hate those people.
Yes, and they really do exist. There just are them people out there. But if you're serious about what you're doing and you're not winning, it's gonna force you to a place where you change your behavior. And it was difficult for me. I was really, really arrogant. I was really, really green, just as far as like dealing with, I had not been around successful people, so I didn't know how to interact with successful people. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you've gone to a good college, that's already given you an education in human interaction that a lot of us don't have, meaning that if you've gone to a good college, then you've been around people that come from money or are going to have money or have success, and you're seeing behavior, showing up fucking late for meetings. It took me losing a gig to stop doing that shit when I was broke, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden it dawns on you, oh fuck, these people that are way more successful than me are never late, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, it depends on, it wasn't an easy, this wasn't an easy journey at all for me, you know what I'm saying? And I destroyed my career twice. Like, it's not like this shit was just one day it clicked, you know what I'm saying? It was, I got far enough to get in, I was super hot, but because I hadn't learned enough, my shit died for almost 4 years. Just like zero, like after my phone ringing all the time, nothing. Including the people that like was fighting over me, that like get me on projects, like not fucking with me, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so, you know, it's been an ongoing, it's been a humiliating journey of humility.
So now, Empire.
Yeah.
So explain how that all, I mean, and what it's
That
like.
was on the heels. It's funny, they were trying to kill my career again. But I was ready for them this time. Like, having had it happen twice, I saw that shit coming from a mile away. Which is funny. You know, it's a stat that I think like the average career for a screenwriter is 5 years.
Yeah.
And if you think about that, what that means is the average screenwriter breaks in with a job. You're probably gonna get a second job on the heels of that. And then so that's year one. And the next 4 years, ain't shit happening for you. And then you're out, you know what I'm saying? So it ain't like you worked for 5 years and you left. It's just, you know what I'm saying? That's also, the metric also includes all the people like me or even on the other side of me who are having 20 and 30 year careers. It's even shorter. Coming into Empire, I had just come off a couple of good years and shit was getting cold again. I was at this point much more equipped in how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew how to spec, I knew how to not have this stink of desperation on me, I knew how to talk to people about making shit happen. As I'm seeing the shit slow down, you know, I'm like, oh fuck, I know what I need to do. I need to build this rescue hatch, you know what I'm saying, as it's coming. Fox had, which was a relationship I built up, had asked me to be on a couple of shows, and because I was having good years, I was like, nah, I'm only doing my own shit. Which, by the way, is how I killed my career the first time. This time, as shit was slowing down, Fox is asking me again to start doing some stuff, and I'm like, oh, I better, you know what I'm saying? I see what's happening here.
Right.
The first show that they brought my way, as things were slowing down, I still knew I didn't want to deal with it, just for reasons I can't say publicly, but I was like, fuck no. And then Empire came, and I had a serious talk, because it's like I knew I could do well on it because of the material. You know, I know hip hop well, and I'd actually written my own version, different tonally of a similar kind of pilot. But it wasn't still a slam dunk. It was me sitting there having to talk with my team about, realistically, your phone's ringing less and less. This is a show you know you can do well on. What are you gonna roll the dice on? And I had been humbled enough times, like, you know, fuck this, it's a big opportunity, let me go ahead and get into it. And I did like it. Like, I don't want no one to see this and be like, I did like it, but it wasn't just like, oh fuck, let me just jump on the first thing that comes my way. It was a discussion.
So, the journey-wise, I mean, you know, looking back now, obviously you would tell your younger self to be more humble earlier. Any other major pitfall you have managed to?
It's different now. Like, I think, like, I work with young writers all the time. It is, I think, unfortunately now for writers, they kind of have to be producers of their own career. When I first broke in, like, my agent would do a monthly meeting with me and talk about where my career needed to go. That shit does not exist anymore. Like, in general, agents won't do anything for a writer. They'll package your script, you know what I'm saying? They'll do that, but your manager's gonna be doing that work now. I didn't need a manager when I first broke in, right? So writers now really gotta, and it's fucked, because you shouldn't have to do this, you should just be writing, but you gotta start really getting clear on who you think you are in the market, what your work and your experience is, why it's gonna, like, the specificity is really, really important now. If you're gay or handicapped or of an ethnicity, or like, you need something that identifies that a specific ass person had a specific point of view in this material now, because the competition is so much wider with the internet and everything. Every single writer that could make it, like I used to say, for Hollywood, 95% of the people that can make it as a writer were making it. already. And the internet has now meant them that other 5% are here. It's a lot of people that you're competing against. So you know, when I see these writers come in, I'm sorry I'm rambling a little bit, but this is just, so I see young writers who right now, their form is way more professional than the writers that I saw or came up with, which isn't really a good thing, because in the sloppiness and chaos, I don't know how to do flood lines, and my friend, you know what I'm saying, is specificity, and the mistakes you're making are usually from inspiration, whereas a lot of these young writers are so fucking savvy because they have access to so much that they're writing like pros, but you ain't a pro yet, you know what I'm saying? Like, you aren't in a position where your writing is in service of something that needs to get made, and maybe you don't know what that process, you don't know why that script that you're mimicking did what it did. So I would say I advise young writers to be ultra specific. That doesn't mean like your whole script, if you're an Arab, your whole script doesn't have to be about being Arab, but there damn sure should be an Arab character that comes in and lends that voice. Otherwise, what the fuck are you doing that other people can't do?
So I need Australians in every script I write?
That's right.
And
just write everything in italics that says Australian accent.
Right. Every character says mate. Yeah.
It is, again, I do think young writers in general are too savvy. I hear shit like white space. You gotta have a lot of white space on the script. You know, it's like, dude, you're so far from understanding what it's gonna take to make it. I hear shit like vertical writing. I hear people obsessed like form Nazis and rule Nazis. And these motherfuckers will argue with you. Like, there's a couple good forums. Like, there's Done Deal Pros forum. There's Inside Pitch, whatever. And you'll go talk to amateur writers and say, dude, that shit doesn't matter. And they'll argue with you about, you know, whether it does or not. And it's like, it's because they have so much access to behind the scenes, to scripts that have been produced, to seeing Aaron Sorkin doing these fucking things, talking about screenwriting, that they haven't allowed what they consider flaws to come in and give them a style of specificity.
Right. I agree. All right, we only have a few minutes, so Devin gets. No, you're good. You've done well. Devin had the first question. Her question was, what type of mix of things would you recommend having in your portfolio when you're starting out? I think she's asking like whether it would be different genres or different, you know, when you're trying to attract attention. You're saying specificity. Are you saying in genre as well? Or?
So I'll say this. I definitely feel like I cost, and I don't regret it, but it hurt. My career probably didn't take off as quickly as it could have because I write all over the place. I work in comedy, I work in animation, I do drama, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it took me a long time. I was like, I wanted to be Scott Frank, except for Scott Frank is Scott Frank, and I'm not. I probably never will be. And you remember this. Whatever you're writing, remember that your reps have to pick up a phone and say, I'm representing Devin, and Devin is up for this job. Well, what is it? Is it a hard job? Yes. Why should I hire Devin on this hard job? Because she's a great writer? No. Right? Because she's written in this space and has killed it? Yes. Because, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because she puts on the horror festival or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so you don't have to limit yourself to one thing for a long time, but you're gonna make your journey way more difficult. If you don't master a certain space, remember that your reps, selling you as a great writer is way more difficult than selling you as someone who does what this specific job means.
Right. So Nick shouldn't go and write a Shakespearean Elizabethan romance.
If you want to take an extra 10 years in a career, absolutely.
Right. Nick, you had a question?
You actually asked it in the first, but I was curious how you broke in, what, you know.
That's what I do. That's why they pay me the big bucks here. Does anybody have any questions for Malcolm while we're here? Come on. Anthony.
Alright, so I hope this doesn't make me sound like an idiot, but so I'm a writer, I'm a white guy, and I want to promote, I want to write diversely. I want to write characters who are diverse that represent the people I see every day in LA and Boston where I'm from. Like, it's a diverse world. But I feel like there's definitely that like default white problem where I write something, they see my last name, Jim Busso, and they go, oh, well, these characters are probably white. So am I being super saying just like, Susan, 25, she's black, and then moving on? Like, does that sound really pandery? Does that make me sound like an idiot?
Nah, you don't have to, I mean, it doesn't, in itself, what does it mean that she's black? You know what I'm saying? That's the real thing is, if you just use the descriptor and say she's black, and she ain't, and it doesn't have anything on the back end of that, it's not gonna hurt you, it just doesn't mean much. Again, I would argue that, like, where are you from?
I'm from New England. So.
Right, like, I would argue that, like, did you see Manchester by the Sea?
Yeah.
Right, like, Lonergan taps into some New England ass shit with that. And he gets to work on all kinds of, like, if you read his shit, it's tiny movies, you know what I'm saying? But he works on the biggest movies out, because in doing that stuff and mastering who he is, they're like, fuck, we need a little flavor on these characters, or we need this. It just turned into a way bigger career, and he is one of the biggest writers out. So writing diversely is great, but definitely tap into whatever it is that you have. Specificity is just, I'm leaning into it, because I do see it missing sometimes from young writers. So, but that it doesn't matter though. If you want to say black, that's all good.
Do you think writers have, in your experience, do writers have a genre that sort of suits them? I mean, or are most of us capable of writing different genres, or do we kind of find our sweet spot?
Most of the successful writers here are super smart and they're super ambitious. So they pigeonhole themselves, right? Because they're fucking winning and they want to keep winning, and they keep moving up the food chain. They keep getting bigger and better jobs based on this thing, and they don't branch out that much. They could, but they don't want to, because they're fucking killers, you know what I'm saying? And that's, so yes, most can, but most don't, you know what I'm saying? And then there are people like Scott Frank, who kind of just, Night at the Museum, Logan, Little Man Tate, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, he just writes, he can pretty much write anything. But most writers do a thing pretty well. They own a space, and that success gets good to you, and you just keep doing that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Anyone? Lady back.
So you got your start basically in the industry by sending a submission blindly to an agent, but that was 15 years ago. So what would you kind of recommend to like up and coming writers or aspiring writers that are trying to get their work out there? Because I feel like there's so many different options now, which is like a good thing, but can also be challenging. Would you say that, make a web series or submit to competitions or all of the above? Like, what do you think, even though there's never one way to break in, what do you think would be like the best route to take to get your work put out there?
I think, number one, it's a waste of time now. Like, agents, if you're not a working writer, they don't really need you. You know what I'm saying? They don't even need you if you're a working writer now. So that's probably within the last 5 years that managers have really become the new starting point, pretty much exclusively. There aren't really any more writers now who come up without managers. Some motherfuckers break in and get so hot so quickly they don't need it, but 90%, so start with managers. The big contests are good. I'm an advocate of the blacklist, because I know I've seen a couple writers actually get repped off that. So that's an amazing resource. I do like a couple of those writers forums. It's just a good place. Like this guy, F. Scott Frazier, started off on Done Deal Pro Forums. I mean, I got to watch the dude come up. He passed me up, shit, you know what I'm saying? So those are the spaces, like all the stuff you're talking about, I think, like, it's almost now better to submit to producers than it is agents. Like, agents are so pointless. I'm not saying don't do it, but I just can't imagine. So yeah, all the stuff you named, and now, yeah, we definitely are in an era, like you look at how Issa did it, we definitely live in an era where if you can, the further you can take the ball yourself, because again, it's about competition, and that's, you're up against Issa Rae. You know what I'm saying? And she went and did her own shit and got hot like that, doing a web series. So it is, as the technology makes it able for writers and directors and filmmakers and creatives to do more and more on their own, they're also raising the bar on what you got to do, like, you know, lookbooks, presentations, sizzle reels, all that shit is entering the picture for even us on a professional level, let alone people trying to cut in.
How many? I'm going to ask one. The amount of scripts, like, I know there are a lot of people probably in this room who think I've written a really great script, and they tend to write that. I mean, how many? At what point? You know what I mean? It's like you read things where they say, "Oh, it's on your 10th screenplay that you start to kind of get the hang of it," you know, like if someone's writing their first screenplay, do they just sort of write that off? It's like, I know this is going to be shit, and I'm going to write it, and then I'm going to move on to the second one. Or do you try and make the first one, or then, like I think what Devin was saying too with the portfolio, as you sort of launch yourself into these competitions and you start to attract attention, is it handy to have a certain number of scripts in your back pocket, or to be like, yeah, that was the one I wrote, you know, this year, and I've got nothing else, but give me 6 months. I mean, what do you?
I've never. My boy Brian Koppelman, first script was Rounders, and that got made. Yeah. But fuck him, you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's fucking possible to write a couple of scripts and be good enough or together enough to make a mark. If you can, you'll know because you're so dope. If you got that kind of talent, the one thing that has not changed is this talent will come to you. Like I swear to God, I didn't know nobody in Hollywood, really, but I knew when I was writing the script that broke me in, I was like, fuck, I hit a level here, this shit is gonna go, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think it is, in general, I'm on to the next anyway, that's my personality. That would be my advice for most writers too. Fuck what you just wrote, you know what I'm saying? What are you writing next? And let that lead the way. And if you got a script that got a response, then the thing that should be popping to your head is, okay, this got a response, this got me into contests and shit. Can I do it again? And how quickly can I do it again? And I do see it is a curse of when writers hit that window, that 5-year mark, that thing that I came up against or whatever. There are writers I know who basically, having tasted this, you're not in once you're in. Once you've made a little money or whatever and broken in and gotten some reps, and people have told you you're special. This is I talked about this on Mason's podcast before. You are not special, but this town will convince you you are, and you will be convinced that your story is unique, and that, yeah, Malcolm is saying that my shit wasn't special, but he doesn't know my shit was really special, right? And then as soon as you hit that adversity, if you haven't been smashing and writing new material because you're excited to and you're a creative person and you have new material, you will fuck around and fall into that 5-year window. And like I said, I see it. I see it on writers at the 10-year mark. I see writers that had careers that were kind of middling like mine or whatever and never caught on to that thing that takes it to the next level. And because they got used to writing for money, they didn't write nothing new ever. And when shit got cold, they kept waiting, and even then you hit the window happens for you at 10 years at that. So definitely keep writing. And so in a nutshell, I would abandon most of, that's the way I do it. Like whatever I wrote before, I don't give a fuck about anymore. It's whatever's next.
Right. Yeah, I know going to conferences and places like this too, the message is always what no one wants to hear is that you've got to keep writing and you've got to keep rewriting.
The rewriting is the bigger one too.
Yeah. Well, we did a whole thing on that. But we're out of time now, so we'll bring you back and you can talk about rewriting.
Great. All right.
We have one more job, but firstly, thank you to Malcolm. Thank you so much. We have one thing that I forgot to mention earlier. We have a... No, I can't. Okay. Melanie, everyone. Melanie who makes things happen. We're giving away a signed copy of the screenplay to Loving, written and directed by Jeff Nichols. He has signed it graciously for us, and we're giving it away. You get to pick the winner.
I will pick the winner.
So it might be someone in this room, it might be someone who submitted or who showed up at the last one.
It is Anthony Giambusa.
Stop. He's here. We'll mail it to you. Just one thing before we go. Thank you so much for coming, everyone. TJ O'Brien is up there in the back. his flyer is on the front. If you like what we're doing, we're like the gateway drug. TJ does this weekly. It's called the Coronet Writers Lab. You get 30 minutes. You cast from whatever actors show up. They do the cold read. You get to hear your notes. You do it. You show up every week. You keep writing. You have to go up once a month. He makes you. I've been doing it for about 15 years, and I literally sometimes on Sunday nights I'm writing just so I can have the 30 pages ready, so it doesn't hit me. But it actually makes me write. So I encourage you, if you want to do this on a more regular basis, talk to TJ. He's graciously here. There he is. And there's a flyer, so take one out of the way. Otherwise, thank you so much. Our next one, our submissions are open now for our next competition. I think we're doing it April the 17th-ish, at a venue to be named later. And our next insider we will name later too. It won't be as good as Malcolm, but we'll try.